Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mad Cat Melody. This is Ramblin Kat, episode 3, in which I find out, fully, what the meaning of life is. I've been doing a lot of internal studying and external studying about things recently, and I came across a story about Bill Gates. Not a video, suspiciously enough, a story where he was being interviewed by a journalist. The journalist asked him why he was successful, what made him different. And rather than answering directly, Bill Gates offered her a blank check. And initially she was supposedly, as the story goes, very offended and turned it down. He said, "Are you sure?" And he tried to give it back as she's pushing it away. "Are you sure?" he says again and again. And she's like, no, I just want you to answer the question, etc. And he eventually admits, he says, "That's what makes me different from everybody else. You just turned down like the opportunity of a lifetime, and I would never have done that. I see the world full of opportunities and I grab for them. You're thinking about something else. You're seeing other things." And the thing about that story is, without knowing if that story was true or false, I was thinking irrelevant to that. It meant something to me. It changed me. It affected me. And what's exciting, this is twofold. One, I'm still changing. That's always a good thing to be able to change. But two, that it doesn't always matter how real or how true something is in reference to how important it is. I remember a scene from V for Vendetta where the main character, he says that artists use lies to tell the truth and politicians use them to cover the truth up. And while I was watching that movie, I was hoping he was right. It's a very poetic term of art, way to describe art, using lies to tell the truth. Also, I don't know everything in the world. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not doing maybe the most important stuff, but everybody can do art, right? And the idea that something that's not real can have value, can be important, means, it's a very hopeful idea to me, because I think we all think of, I shouldn't say we all, because I get a little elitist, what I'm about to say, but I think the general perception is that certain jobs better than other jobs that are more valuable to humanity. Engineers over, say, artists. People in the sitcoms, they was down and there's an awkward silence with crowd laughing when it's "Oh, your kid's going to college. Where is he? Oh, it's an art college." And there's just this looking down on it. So constantly, because of that, I would say because of that, I've gone through life thinking "Oh, what am I doing right now? Am I doing something that's just for me, or am I doing something that's going to help somebody or help the world? Am I doing something that's important, real?" Because I've done things like watch movies. I love movies. I've read comic books, played video games, playing games, and I've escaped into glorious other worlds. And it's hard to look back on that and think, was I wasting my time? Was I doing something that, taking myself away from what I should have been doing? Even though I was having fun with friends, sharing time, socializing. It makes me think of a Stan Lee quote where he said, I'm going to paraphrase, but he says he used to be embarrassed. He was just, a comic book writer. It sounded like he knew people who were going on into medical fields and engineering fields. He mentions building bridges, and he was just a comic book writer. But the thought came to him that he was making people entertained. He was making people happy. And people need to be made happy from some things. They need to find something that makes them happy. Otherwise, they might go off the deep end. That's directly what he said. I'm not going to speculate on exactly what he means by going off the deep end, but I'm sure you can imagine. He says, "I feel that if you're able to entertain people, you're doing a good thing," was the most important part of the speech. That's rung in my head over and over again because it makes me think, is that true? Is it just as valuable to have comic book writers as it is to have astronauts and astronomers? I think there's a possibility. I'm biased. I want that to be true. But I think logically maybe it is, because if you look at the DISC personality test, where there's 4 different personalities, the D is the director, the commander, the assertive one, usually the leader, and you have the I, the S, the C. You have all these different people, and what it says is you need each one to make an effective team. And of course, one of those, I always map it. I can't remember what all the words are. I just remember the D and the C is calculator. But I always map it to the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's the way I can remember each personality type. You have the soft one, which I think maps most closely to Leonardo. He kind of worries about the other ones. He's the den mother, trying to be the mature, the responsible one. Wants to bring Raphael back into the fold when he goes off the deep end. And then you have, which I believe is I might mix up I and S, but you have Michelangelo, who's the fun one. He just wants to eat pizza and skateboard. It seems sometimes like, get back with the program. This is serious stuff. We're dealing with ninjas, life and death or whatever. But you need the Michelangelo because if you didn't have the Michelangelo, everybody would go off the deep end. So it's a possibility that maybe, we wouldn't have so many astronomers and astronauts without things like Star Trek, without writers and actors and artists, special effects people. They're the Michelangelos. Am I a Michelangelo? I don't know. I mean, I always thought the calculator was the best person. If everybody in the world was calculators, it might be good, but they say, you can't do anything with all astronomers. You're not going to get to the moon. You need astronauts. Yeah, I think that's the best outlook I can have, is that we're all different kinds of people. We all need those kinds of people, no matter who they are, what they're doing. This time I think I'm trying to convince myself more than anybody else. This rant is me trying to convince myself and telling myself something you need to worry about. I think I hope everybody else out there, they don't have such an existential crisis that they're worried about how important they are in the world. Maybe you're out there thinking no matter what you do, that you're important. I feel a little bit better. Whether or not that story about Bill Gates is true. Thank you for listening. Mad Kat out. Ciao.